Yes, regarding to sustainable development for our cities, the most issue is sustainable mobility, because you know we as a typical post-communist country, we use a lot of cars, and it is not anymore on their agenda in 21st contemporary city in Europe, and therefore this is our main challenge in our city. We have a rather good public transport network, especially the backbone of our public transport is tram. We have trolley buses, buses and microbuses, but of course we have no subway system. Therefore, if we are dealing with sustainable mobility issues, it's for us is much more challenging as a city who has subway networks. At this moment, I think we are more see how is Nordic cities are doing, because we are not very strong in climate adaptation strategies. We have no city climate adaptation strategy at this time. But if we see numbers from 1990, we reduced more than 50% of CO2 emissions. It is very good, but this baseline is from Soviet end of the collapse of Soviet time, where our industry was very big, yes, and therefore these numbers a little bit are not correct nowadays. And I think for the next decade it must be more hard for us to decline these CO2 emissions. Yes, you know, we are live near the sea, near the Baltic Sea, and actually, if we compare with Scandinavia cities geologically are a little bit growing, but we are like declining, sinking, and together with water things in future, it could be, of course, it's very, very far future. It could be dangerous. But what we are feeling now, it is a rapid change of weather, a lot of storms and a lot of hot days, and this was. It wasn't before, 10 or 20 years ago, it wasn't like you know, feel a lot of stormy days, rainy days, and a lot of very, very hot days. It's very good that Nordic cities gave us very good examples and how we can follow this policy. Especially Finnish presidency knows they are mostly dealing with climate adaptation things, and common projects, especially how we can use nature-based solutions instead of green infrastructure, instead of grey infrastructure. And this is how we can change experience and work together. And because climate is similar, attitude is similar. We are living in one Baltic space, and I think what is good in Finland or in Sweden, it could be the same in Baltic states as well. Well, UBC is a very good project lobby, to be honest. In European Union, we have a lot of common projects that was before lobbied by UBC, especially Sustainable Commission, for instance. We participate in iWater, that it was flagship project. BSR Water, now we are working for application of funky old cities. It's different projects, different approaches, not only environment or sustainable. It must be something with tourism, but everything is common. This Baltic space and how we can. How we can do this macro region is better, and maybe with some identity in the European Union if we compare with Mediterranean macro regions or other macro regions. Bjorn Gronholm is invite us to say one of the biggest city in the network. Why you are not very active? We are very active in projects and in other maybe commissions, but why we are not here in Sustainable Development Commission? And yes, and we decided as a city development department to be in an advisory board, because Bjorn invite us, and we'll see how this cooperation will be much closer. And of course, it's very interesting that, for instance, St. Petersburg is here. It's not a lot of networks when Russian cities are. And St. Petersburg is the biggest city in the Baltic Sea region, yes. But Riga is, yes, one of the biggest, and of course, we have to be this network. And I hope it will be much more projects in future, much more cooperation, and actually we can share some things what we have, and some failures as well, because not always we need to share with us some good things. If we share with some failures, it is very good for the future development as well.